And there's some really, really nasty ones in here. The classes are the Paragon paths are the Iron Vanguard, which is a frontline fighter type, a Kensai, which, martial arts warrior type, pit fighter, gladiator type, and the Sword Master, which is what I use. It's got some really, really nasty abilities. Like one that can be used on an opportunity attack, does 3 weapon damage plus strength modifier versus someone's reflex, which tends to be really low against really big things, so it's really nasty. There's the Paladin, which I like what they did with the Paladin. They changed it from being lawful good to being more of a champion of your deity, which makes a lot more sense to me. Instead of only lawful good or a blackguard, it makes more sense to me. They actually get plate armor. They're the class that gets plate armor. And in tradition, Paladins are one of the more intricately done classes, whole bunch of save bonuses, powers, lay on hands, recurrence. They got some really cool powers as well. Now, no, I'll get to that later. They get Astral Weapon, Champion of Order, Hospitaler, Hospitaler, I think that's how it's pronounced, and Judiciary. So they're alright. They fit in the defender role, if that matters to any of y'all. Doesn't really matter to me. Rangers, they went with the 2-weapon archery stuff. This video's getting really long. All in all, pretty good. I haven't played actually a lot of these the Ranger. I've just read through it. They get the Battlefield Archer, the Beast Stalker, Pathfinder, and Storm Warden. Those mean nothing to me, just so you know. Rogue. Rogue sneak attack changed a lot, but it's less broken later on. It balances well. I enjoy it. They also shurikens, throwing stuff, small throwing stuff. You always it's like, oh, it's really cool. I'll play a rogue, I'll throw a shuriken, and you're like, D4 damage. I can only throw 1, and I can lose it. Not worth it. However, with this, they're like, use a shuriken. If you're a rogue, it's a D6 and that raises the bar. You're like, oh, well, then I might try actually throwing shuriken. I still lose it, but it looks really cool, and I'm not actually doing piss damage. They got also some really cool utility powers. Stand next to the fighter, and as an immediate interrupt, someone swings at you, you swap out with the fighter, you jump behind him. It's called castling. It's taken from the chess term castling, when you take your rook and your king, and you move them within range of each other, and they swap places to protect them. It's pretty cool. Of course, it can end really badly. Can end awful. Your king can just get trapped and just massacred. Your Paragon paths are your Cat Burglar, your Dagger Master, your Master Infiltrator, and your Shadow Assassin. So that's a lot of the really basic ones. I think Wizards comes up. That's the only other one that's not been covered. Then we get the Warlock. If you ever looked at, I believe it was the Complete Arcane, you saw the Warlock class. Broken. At level 1, they have the ability to see through magical darkness and create it at will. Ridiculous. Now, I can't remember later on, but if I recall, they still stayed broken. Here, they balanced out a lot, and you can really see them for what they are, Either what they can do is you can get Eldritch Pacts, which, demons and hurling hellfire and just, glorious power. Fey Pact, which is, more, I'm going to subvert, I'm going to charm, I'm going to sleep, I'm going to try and subdue you without killing you before you can hit me. I'm going to teleport around the battlefield if I need to. Oh, shit, I flipped him. Wait. Sorry, I flipped it. Infernal is demon. Sorry, I swapped. My fault. Eldritch Pact is mysterious entities. It's it's not nearly as cool. And then you get your Star Pact, which very philosophical, very easy going. My personal favorite, if you can't tell, is the Infernal Pact. I love throwing hellfire at things. It's great. Especially when they release the Essentials version, where you can actually summon a pit. No, was it a pit fiend? I believe it was. Ridiculous. I'll flip on through some of these. They're actually one problem with the warlocks in this book. Unlike the other classes, where you pick your class and you get a whole bunch of options for powers. If you pick your pact, it locks you in this book to like your powers, because I believe there's only like 3 for each level. A star, a fey, and an infernal. So I mean, I think in the arcane powers they gave you more options. Just in general, but in this book they are really locked in. So they're not great if you're looking for a lot of options. But they get some cool powers. They get the Star Pact gets to go Doomsayer. Fey Touch gets to go. The Fey Pact gets to go Fey Touched, and the Infernal gets to go Life Stealer, which steals souls, which is actually really cool. Then there's the Warlord. A big addition to the 4th edition line is the Warlord. What it allows you to do is command the party. Now that doesn't mean that you're the boss. What it means is you're able to grant attacks and grant extra movement to people. So you're in the back and you're getting attacked or whatever. You can have the fighter. You can give the fighter the ability. Now he doesn't have to. So don't think that Warlord's the dick class where you get to go, you're gonna do what I say. No. What it allows you to do though is grant these abilities to other players. So it's like, I need the fighter on my back right now. So fighter, here's a chance to move up, or that go over there. You can swing your sword at him and hit him. I mean, it's really cool. They actually got plate armor, I believe. No, they didn't. They got chainmail. They're really cool. Some of these are less than glorious. Some of these are actually really lame. Some of the warlords. Others are just ridiculous. Like, you just crazy. Your choices for Paragon Path are Battle Captain, Combat Veteran, Knight Commander, and Sword Marshal. They're all right. They're pretty good. Once again, not to say that one is better than the other per se in power wise. They all fill their role about equal power level. It's really personal preference what you want to do. Then there's the Wizard, who they took out a lot of your single target damage that was so common. They moved that actually to the Sorcerer in the Player's Handbook 2, which is actually a really cool class. What they did with the Wizard was you're more of the Fireball type. You're more of these massive spells that just deal ridiculous damage to everyone. They're actually one of the ones with the most powers out of the game, filling that Wizard thing. They get to prepare dailies and utility powers. And, I mean, they're really cool. They focus a lot on controlling the battlefield, altering terrain, summoning things. It's pretty cool. Mass Fly. A lot of times they fill that old role, except for that heavy single target damage. That's the only thing they don't fill anymore. Your pads are Battle Mage, which is kind of self-explanatory, frontline fighter type. Blood Mage, pretty cool. Spellstorm, Wizard of the Spiral Tower, they're all right. And they got Epic Destinies, which they're essentially, your destiny. Some of them ridiculous, some of them not so much. In the Player's Handbook 1, your choices are the Archmage, which it's all right in the grand scheme of things. Your 30th, your end game thing is you can choose one daily spell that you can now cast that spell as an encounter spell. It's kind of weak if you think about it. I mean, yes, you could have a ridiculous daily that's an encounter now, but I mean, what good is that in comparison to some of the other ones that you'll see, especially some of the other books? Deadly Trickster. I actually like the level 30. I think it's just really hilarious how it's written. It's called Trickster's Disposition. Once per day, you can tell your DM to treat the result of a 20 they just made as a natural one. No rerolls are possible. I think that's just funny how it's written. The other one is Demigod, which system-wise, it's kind of accurate. Their level 30 is when you have expended your last remaining encounter power, you can choose one encounter power of your choice, and this way you never run out of encounter powers. So, it's pretty cool. There's a lot of better epic destinies out in the other books, but I mean, sorry, I was just checking the binding. And I recommend buying other books, starting with, I'll admit it, The Player's Handbook as your only book. Awful. This game is terrible with just this. You don't want just this. You want access to the other books. You want access to the other options, the other builds, the other, baseline class features. If you stick with this, if this is your only experience, you're going to hate 4th edition. It's just inevitable. Just don't waste your time if that's all you're going to do. Go to a bookstore, go to a Wizards hosted event, download a character builder, something. Just don't use just this. You're just going to hate the game. Skills, they stayed a lot the same. They cut down the list a lot. I enjoyed. They also cut down the skill point system. You essentially just pick a skill, you're trained in it, you get automatic 5 in it, and then it's a bonus. I like that system. It's very 2nd edition where you just pick the non-weapon proficiency. I enjoyed it I enjoy it like that. I don't like that splitting the skill point system. Then you end up with someone who gets 10 skill points per level, and you're just I'm gonna take every skill. I'm gonna suck at everything, but I can roll it all, and you're just really? You suck at it all though. I mean, that doesn't even make role-playing sense, how you have the dabble knowledge here, dabble knowledge there. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. So, they crunched a lot of the skills together and gave overarching, what's it going, stealth covers, you move silently, you're hide, and everything like that. Thievery covers disable traps, open lock, pickpocket, and sleight of hand. So, I mean, I like it like that. Feats. The feats are pretty good. There's a heavy emphasis on race feats. It's to give, if you're a fighter, your feat choices are probably going to be very different. A dwarven fighter is different than your half-orc fighter, which is not in this book. So we'll go a tiefling fighter. They're your choice of feats is going to be very different. You'll have commonality feats, but you'll be very different. So I like that. I just wish there had been a heavier release of less race-specific feats. I believe that I like the number, but I don't like how there isn't enough non-race-oriented feats. So there's the, god feats that let you get bonuses depending on who you worship. Your Paragon tier feats just get some really cool things. Your Epic tier. Multi-classing. They did away with multi-classing in the traditional sense. You get to choose feats. You get skill training and some bonuses from them and some powers. So you get to cross-class a little bit, but it's not nearly as in-depth as it used to be. So if you really, really wanted to be, that half fighter, half rogue, or 3/4 fighter, 3/4 rogue, you can't really do that anymore. You get the ability to go 2 classes, though. If in a later book, which we'll go over another day, you get the ability to go dual classes.